How are we doing there, boys and girls? Matthew's here and welcome back to another video. So we get into this weird and wonderful time in the expansion where materials are flowing relatively cheaply, one has to say, on a lot of realms, and it's time to put these materials to good use. If you're anything like me and you have a second account, one for doing some auction housing and one for actually playing the game, you may find that it's optimal to have both of those accounts doing something that's going to help generate you some gold. So today we're going to talk about some vendor flips, and I've put together a little bit of a resource, should we say, for you that I've been working on for a couple of days that's going to help you absolutely dominate when it comes to vendor flipping. So, what are we talking about when we say vendor flips? Well, vendor flips are quite simple, right? They're the art of taking a material, usually by buying it in bulk off the auction house, crafting an item with it, and then giving that item that you've crafted straight to a vendor and making a nice little profit out of it. This is basically playing on the fact that there's many characters out there that don't really truly understand the value of some of the materials that they own, and when they go and put them on the auction house, they list them below a certain threshold, and us smart goblins out there can pick them up and start doing some magic with them. So, one of the most common ones, let's look at tailoring ever so quickly. Tailoring is the god of all vendor shuffles for the most part, simply because Shrouded Cloth is just so abundantly available. It's virtually free on most realms, and if you can get it below a certain price, you can really turn a sizable amount of profit from this. One thing I will say with vendor flips is you're never ever going to become a millionaire from just doing vendor flips alone. It's a relatively time intensive activity, but like I said, it's designed for those out there of us that have two accounts on the go. They're playing their main account, they're running some Torghast, they're doing their Mythic Plus, they're doing the raid, whatever they do on their main account, and they have that second auction house account in the background to, you know, help make them some gold. Vendor flipping can be or vendor shuffling I should say, is a really good way to achieve this. Now, using the Blizzard default UI, it is not obvious for the most part of what we should be creating and shuffling. Some of you guys that have clicked on this video and have chosen to watch it probably have a good idea in your head already about which ones are good, namely Shrouded Cloth robe. This tends to be, as far as tailoring is concerned, the go-to. But what happens if you're not a tailor? What happens if you also have an enchanter? Is there some more gold we can squeeze out of this? Yes, there is. Let me introduce you to my Shadowlands cheat sheet, boys and girls. Lots of you will have already seen this. I've been developing and working on this since before Shadowlands even came out, and thousands of people have picked it up and started to use it so far. It's entirely free to use. I will leave a link to the Discord. We pin this up in the Discord. You can go and jump onto the Discord and get access to the latest version of this Shadowlands cheat sheet whenever you so need it. I've been putting together this vendor and disenchant shuffle sheet for a few days now, and I've gone into as much detail as I can. We are going to min-max this like nobody has done so far. At least nobody that I've found. Some people have put together some information. They've said, well, go do this. This is going to be good for you. But what happens if that doesn't work? This is going to cover all angles for you, and I've tried to make it as simple and as straightforward to use. So let's take a little look. It's real simple, right? You fill in the yellow boxes. All you have to do is fill in the yellow boxes. Put the prices that you're paying for things and how much you're able to sell things for in the yellow boxes, and the sheet will do the rest for you. So let's look at it in a little bit of detail then. Tailoring is the first one on the list, but we're not, like I said, this is not just for tailors out there. We have tailoring, we have leatherworking, we have blacksmithing, we have jewel crafting. It's all here, regardless of which crafting profession that you want to min-max. This will tell you how to do it. Let's look at tailoring for the example though, as I've got it up on screen right now. So, some universal buy prices. Penumbra thread, luminous flux, those are vendor materials. Get yourself to Exalted and you can buy those for as cheap as 7 gold 20 a piece. If you pay any more than 7 gold 20, you're doing yourself a disservice, and the likelihood is that these vendor shuffles probably won't work. If we set the penumbra thread back to its regular 9 gold value, you can see all of a sudden nothing becomes profitable again. This is really taking advantage of the fact that you're getting your thread cheap. Head to Stormwind, head to Orgrimmar, get Exalted with those factions. It's really quick and easy to do. Or if you're even Exalted with your home faction in Shadowlands right now, you can go to the vendor in your Covenant area, pick up some penumbra thread, get it nice and cheap. Vendor materials, there's usually a discount to be had. Put it back to 7 gold 20. As you can see though, you change one price and the spreadsheet works everything out for you. It tells you exactly what you need to be doing and exactly where you should be focusing your attention. But because we're trying to do some disenchanting as well, if you have that enchanter, there is obviously the option to sell soul dust and sell sacred shards if the price is right, of course. Crafting something, then disenchanting it, then either using those materials or selling them is a great way to squeeze out even more and more gold. Let's take a look how the spreadsheet works though. So we put if we say for example if we get our Shrouded Cloth at 2 gold a piece, you can see technically at 2 gold a piece for your Shrouded Cloth, the cape does still turn a minuscule profit on the vendor flip. But you got to remember, time is money, friends. You're not going to spend so much time crafting capes and doing all of this for like 0.1 gold per. You're going to need to get your Shrouded Cloth a little bit cheaper. On most realms right now, you can pick it up for anywhere between 1.6 to 1.8 gold pretty much all day long. I was able to pick up a whole bunch of Shrouded Cloth, nearly 250,000 Shrouded Cloth recently, at 1.57 gold a piece, which by this seems to indicate to me there's a couple of good options here straight away. It will highlight it highlights the good ones in green for you. Real simple, right? Highlights the good ones in green, so you can see, right, pants, robes are going to turn a profit by just crafting them, vendoring them. But I have some other options, right? On my realm, soul dust, I can not only use soul dust, but comfortably sell it for about 15 gold a piece still. It's still a little bit less than that on some realms for sure, but I can go through soul dust like an absolute madman. I craft legendaries all day long. My main goal is crafting and selling legendaries, and I go through ridiculous amounts of soul dust. The amount of this I've used since the beginning of Shadowlands would probably scare some people. Sacred shards I don't have as much use for, so I don't tend to craft many of the enchants myself, but if you have that enchanter, by all means, craft a whole bunch of enchants and sell those. It's another thing to be selling that you can try and squeeze some profit out of. You can see though, if I was to spend that little bit extra time doing some disenchanting, I can actually turn a sizably greater profit from my Shrouded Cloth at a cheap price and my penumbra thread at the Exalted buy price. I could in theory turn 11 gold profit off every single pair of braces that I craft. This is ludicrous, right? It's going to take a little bit more time to do it, but the gold potential here, if you're willing to put the effort in, is massive. This last column is probably the one you want to keep your eyes on though. If you choose to use this sheet, the last column, the best results, is what you want to be looking at. If it's green, you're interested, right? If it's green, you want to be looking at it. If it's red, ignore it. We're not going to be doing anything with that. The prices just are not good enough. Maybe you need to get your materials cheaper. In some scenarios, if we look, say, at leatherworking, leatherworking is one where, for the most part, it's going to be all red. Prices just aren't good enough yet for most people, for the majority of the leatherworking stuff to be vendored or disenchanted. It's just way too expensive to craft. So most of it you're going to ignore. Blacksmithing is the same, right? For the most part, you are going to be ignoring blacksmithing unless you can get your lacestrite ore really cheap. If you can get your lacestrite ore for like 3 gold 50 a piece, some stuff starts to trickle in as profitable. At 3 gold 50 a piece, for example, you can see the ceremonious rapier turns a profit. Cool. Craft some up, sell them off. make some gold. Nice. If you're not able to get your lay strike quite so cheap, or you don't particularly want to be vendoring hundreds of ceremonious weapons, maybe look at doing some disenchanting on either the gauntlets, the waist guards, or the arm guards. In this scenario, it kind of makes sense to go for the arm guards, as they're going to turn the greatest profit. Bingo! Now we know exactly what we're doing. Real easy. All you have to do, reiterating once again, is put the numbers in the yellow boxes. The spreadsheet will do absolutely everything. Jewel crafting is a really fun one. Jewel crafting is really fun, but it is a little bit more complicated in terms of the fact that you're dealing with more materials. The zone specific ores tend to fluctuate in price quite a lot, but with the introduction of flying in patch 9.1, we are likely to see the prices of those crash pretty heavily. One question I always get about jewel crafting is, what the hell do I do with all of these raw gems that I've gained from prospecting? Most people, when they're prospecting, they're looking to get the essences to craft the legendaries, and they're just flooded with raw gems. You have the option to vendor them, where you'd get 2 gold 50 a piece for them, but alternatively you could actually craft some lay strike rings and necks, or chokers or bands as they're actually called, and you could disenchant them and turn a reasonable profit, even as high as 10 gold profit per deadly lay strike band that you craft, if you can get your lay strike ore cheap enough. That is an incredible vendor. I didn't realize jewel crafting was quite that profitable. You can still turn an even greater profit by actually doing some disenchanting. But now you know, this is the thing, right? And plug your numbers in and see how it goes. Spreadsheet aside though, jump on the spreadsheet. The link to the Discord where you can find it is in the description down below. Let's look at how you can min-max your vendor flipping or vendor shuffling a little bit more in game. So this is where Trade Skill Master becomes very helpful for you, right? I have it set up so that I craft a whole bunch of stuff, and what I actually do is, rather than vendoring them on the same character that I'm on, if I set myself up, for example, making some Shrouded Cloth robes right now, he works away, he makes a whole bunch of Shrouded Cloth robes, and eventually his inventory is going to fill. What happens when his inventory fills? When he just stops doing what he's doing, right? He can't go any further, which means that you would then need to come in, you'd need to, you know, have your input to it, you would need to then vendor these things off. There's a clever way we can do this with Trade Skill Master though. If you set up a group for the items, so let's just navigate down to Shroud Tailoring, Shrouded Cloth. You can see I've put all of the Shrouded Cloth gear in a single group on my tailor. What I've done with this is I've applied a single mailing operation. It just gets sent straight to my bank character. Now my bank character conveniently happens to be an enchanter, so I've got it's basically a win-win for me, right? If I send everything to my enchanter, I can vendor some of the stuff, I can disenchant the stuff that's to be disenchanted, as long as I keep track of what I'm crafting for what purpose. That's easy enough to manage. What is extra clever about this is that when you go to the mailbox, and if you use the Trade Skill Master mailing interface, you can go to groups and you can select that single group, and if instead of just pressing mail select groups, which will send everything that's relevant, if you hold shift, you can see it selects this auto resend, which means every 1 minute it will try and send whatever is in your bags again. So if we click this now, you can see straight away it sends a whole bunch of stuff away. In 1 minute it will send a whole bunch more stuff, and in the minute after that it will send a whole bunch more stuff. So this basically means that you can leave this running in the background, and it's as close to automated as you can physically get. Your inventory hopefully shouldn't fill up, you shouldn't clog up. It's going to send all of the items to another character, and of course you just log on to that character, and then you know, disenchant what you need to disenchant, vendor what you need to vendor, and it's a win, right? GG. So there we go, boys and girls. I hope you enjoy that. I hope this tool becomes useful to you. I put a fair amount of time and effort into getting this up and running. If for whatever reason I've made a mistake in it anywhere, it's entirely possible I might have screwed up one of the operations somewhere in the sheet. I've given it a good thorough testing, and I think it's, you know, doing its job nicely. But please let me know in the Discord or in the comments down below if you find any bugs or issues in it in any way, shape or form. But give it a go. Load some of the prices in for the materials on your realm and go out there and make some gold. So if you enjoyed the video, give it a like, boys and girls. If you're new around here, consider subscribing. I've been Manthius, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.